Hello there, welcome to the Nepal Budget 2026-27 special edition on NTV World. I am Bhavna Kesi. The government of Nepal has unveiled a record national budget of 21.24 trillion Nepali rupees for the upcoming fiscal year 2026-27, with projection of 7% economic growth through reforms, investment promotion and tech-driven development. The government has also announced investments in artificial intelligence, green energy, education, health and sports infrastructure, while allowing Nepal's private sector to participate in international electricity trade for the first time. To discuss Nepal's budget 2026-27 in depth and its implications, we are joined in live by former Vice Chair of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Prakash Kumar Shrestha, and the President of the Confederation of the Nepalese Industries, Birendra Pandey. I'd like to start with Dr. Shrestha. Dr. Shrestha, welcome to the NTV World. And first of all, we'd like to ask, what is your overall assessment of Nepal's budget 2026-27?
Yes, today the Finance Minister has unveiled the budget for the coming fiscal year. Overall, it is good. It is expansionary. It has many policy and provisions for reforming economy and try to boost the investment in the economy. And budget has lowered the income tax rate and increased the minimum slab for the income tax. And there are many provisions focus on the promoting the information technology sectors, and there are other new reforms. But these all of effectiveness of all these actually will be based on how effective will be the implementations. There are so many things. Some are quite ambitious. Budget looks quite expansionary compared to the current fiscal year. It has been increased 25% based on the revised estimate, but it could be as high as one third of actual estimate of this current actual expenditure of this current fiscal year. That's why it is quite expansionary. Let us see how it will be implemented. Our real problem is in implementations, and actual budget after implementation should be expansionary, not only in the budget, but that's why we have to wait for the implementation. There are very new many new things how it could be implemented, and there are quite good things also. It has proposed to reform the public enterprises. It has said that the government will going to make a public enterprises as a public company and make a disinvestment so that even from that government can collect some resources for investment. That's a good thing. But the actual effectiveness will depends on the how it will be going to implement it, given the capacity constraint and the resource constraint.
Dr. Shrestha, we'll come back to you. We have another guest as well. We have Birendra Pandey, the president of CNI. Mr. Pandey, how has the private sector reacted to this year's budget? Does the budget create the confidence among the private sector regarding the investment and the expansion of the industries here in Nepal?
We've heard the budget today. I mean, it's the very initial stage that we've been commenting it, but if we look at what has been said, it's quite encouraging. Most of the recommendations that we've made during various meetings and various committee discussions, many of them, or most of them, have been incorporated in the budget. So that's it's a good thing. As Dr. Prakash has said, it's a bit expansionary, and we've been expecting expansionary budget this time because the current economic condition is a bit dire. The aggregate demand is very low, and the economy is not moving that well, and that's why we wanted to see a bit more investment in infrastructure and other areas, so that this investment from the government side can play as a catalytic role in attracting other private sector investment. There are various elements regarding the taxes and industries, in education and health and mines and minerals, infrastructure sector, and digital domain. A lot of programs have been announced, and we are quite hopeful that this budget will, be can be an instrument to attract more investment.
Mr. Pandey, what you said, and according to what has been seen till so far, the private sector seems elated with this year's budget. What more does the private sector expect from the incumbent government, given the fact that this is the first time the RSP, Rashtriya Swatantra Party, is leading the government? So, what are the expectations of the private sector from this year's budget and this government?
Yeah, this is the first time that RSP-led government is presenting the budget, and this we have, and in this budget, as we have been recommending to the government, and we have actually provided, the recommended various reform measures before the election. We have published the areas of improvement that can be incorporated in political manifesto. And most of the things are incorporated in 100 points Pasha Patra of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party as well, and the successive documents that was made public by the government. These recommendations are incorporated. So we believe that if this budget is well implemented, which has been an issue in the past, we believe that this should be helpful in improving the growth and supporting the economy. Overall, if we look at the industry area, we've been saying that there has to be a custom difference of like 5 to 10% on finished goods and raw materials. That has been announced today with the changing of more than 273 goods. And also another one was the excise, been raising the issue, and 360 goods the government is trying to remove the excise, which eventually help reducing the cost of doing business. And also the government will be reviewing the SAFTA sensitive list. This is also one of the key recommendations that private sector is making. And same way, the tax regime have been reviewed. The minimum income tax limit has increased, with the reduction of the maximum threshold in the taxes. That will also help increasing the disposable income for the people and instigate the aggregate demand in the economy. Similarly, there has been a lot of institutional reforms announced with the merger of government institutions, and also attracting private sector investment in terms of public-private partnership in various corporations, which is also good. Yeah.
Mr. Pandey, you have talked about the taxes as well. The custom duties on 273 types of raw materials have been reduced at this time. Will this meaningfully lower production cost for domestic industries? How will you analyze this?
Yeah, for domestic investors, if there is a reform in regulatory regime, the budget says that the government will be implementing one-stop service sector, as well as digitalize most of the government services. That will entail the private sector in lowering the cost of doing business, and also improving the transparency of the government. That will definitely attract private sector investment if we can implement those reforms in an efficient way.
Now, I'd like to I have a question for Dr. Shrestha. You have worked in the capacity of vice chair as well. So the government this time has projected the economic growth rate of 7% for the fiscal year 2026-27. How realistic you find this target given Nepal's current economic conditions? Dr. Shrestha.
Yeah, given the current economic situations this year, this current fiscal year, economic growth is estimated to be around 3.6 around. And that's why, based on that, 7% growth targets looks ambitious, but the target can be set, and if the given reform and the tax changes and proposed government expenditure, if realized, and capital expenditure also has been increased a lot, how much it will be realized. If these things, proposed things realized, then the 6 to 7% growth can be achievable if the demand can be increased in the economy, because already the many industries are running the under capacity utilizations, they are very low capacity utilizations, and if the government through the reform can encourage the private investment, then the some sort of higher growth can be possible. If 7% may maybe the slightly less than 7%, 6 to 7% is possible. But let's see how the budget will be implemented. As I said earlier, normally the given the our capacity of the bureaucracy and so forth, there is no any big reform has been said in the budget how to make the public is the government machinery is effective. The government raise the salary, but there are many government lacks the technical manpower, and how it goes to hire the technical manpower and to execute these all these projects, capital projects, and there is a capacity low capacity in private sector also. There are so many projects as infrastructure projects proposed in the budget. How much the private sector can able to execute, especially the contractor side, private sector, they have to also able to execute this project. There are many projects already under constructions. They
Dr.
are
Shrestha,
not going well.
Dr. Shrestha, while we talk about the challenges, this time the scenario is quite different. We are still reeling under the aftershocks of the COVID-19, plus the Middle East crisis. It has escalated, it has pushed the economic sector to further bring. So how the management should be done? What is your perspective on this?
Yeah, it's a very critical time. Obviously, the because of the Middle East war, inflation has been rising. That's why the budget, I think, considering these things, has proposed that 6% inflations. And it is not only the case of inflations, there is the availability of construction materials. How long this war will go, and for that, government should come up make some strategy how to tackle these things. Although the budget hasn't said much about these current geopolitical tensions, although proposed many ambitious and obviously attractive things, but all of this depends on the how effectively it will be executed. And obviously, there are many constant internal as well as external constant, and that's why we have to wait and see its implementations.
Now, I'd like to ask a question to Mr. Pandey. Mr. Pandey, for the first time, Nepal private sector has been allowed to participate in international electricity trade impact regarding the energy market. So what is your say on this?
Yeah, actually, our independent power producers and private sector have been asking this for quite some time now. Actually, if they are, I mean, the private sector is given the um, leeway to trade electricity in the international market. That will ease. Actually, currently, we have not been signing the PPA as much because of the uh, demand that I mean, the doubt in the consumption demand. So that issue can be resolved by private sector, trading their energy in the international market. That will also create the competitiveness and ease the burden to Nepal Electricity Authority on having to buy electricity, whether they need it or not. So I think it's the right move, and if private sector can get themselves into electricity trade as well as the transmission of the electricity, that will definitely create a market for private sector and increase the activity here in Nepal.
Dr. Shrestha, regarding the same issue, how important is the government's decision to allow the private sector into the international trade of the electricity?
Yeah, in the budget, the government has mentioned and how possible it will be technically, and even some is a kind of bilateral relation also. And if it can happen, then obviously we have a lot of potentiality of hydropower. Then it will be realized, and because now private sector has a lot of interest in the hydropower, they are investing a lot of money in the hydropower. There are many projects in pipeline. Even the government has been constructing many projects as mentioned in the budget. So the is a Nepal should actually export that electricity to neighboring country, and for that, the government as well as private sector should be able to do that. But let us see the how capable is the private sector to that, although they are demanding, and how much is technically feasible, and how much it can be manageable. That's the kind of technical things, and the relevant person, concerned person of these areas can say. But if it is happen, it will be good for the Nepal's and good for the Nepalese economy.
Mr. Pandey, can this budget realistically attract more investment and foreign direct investment here in Nepal, given the background, given the context that foreign direct investment (FDI) has always been such a big issue here in Nepal?
Yeah, this FDI, the investment from uh, foreign investors has been very low as compared to our peer countries in the region as well as abroad. Uh, so, I mean, we need to attract international investors in various areas, and this budget has focused a little bit on that area by allowing the repatriation of the proceeds in an easier way, as well as paying for the royalty and other fees. So if the overall regulatory mechanism has been eased for domestic as well as international investors, definitely there will be more interest from the international investors to invest in Nepal. This is, I think, the step in the right direction, as the budget um, uh, mentions that the repatriation of profit will be made easier, and also there will be a hedging mechanism implemented so that the foreign currency risk be minimized. So these are some of the hurdles that were preventing foreign direct investment to come into Nepal. So probably these initiatives will definitely ease this and promote international investors in investment.
Mr. Pandey, regarding the VAT system, a high-level advisory committee will study the possibility of introducing the multi-rate VAT system. Would such a system make taxation more efficient or more complicated? What's your take on this?
Sienna has been advocating for the multi-layered VAT system since last several years. We have a very open border with India, and our trade dependency is very high, almost 65 to a third of our trade, whether it's import or export, that is with India. And we have to make our pricing and the tax regimes and all that similar to the Indian product, so that there will be less chance for unauthorized trade, and also it will ease the burden for our people on the essential goods and services, and also support the government revenue as well. So they are win-win for the economy as well as the general public. So we have been advocating for the multiple VAT system, and this time the budget, we've heard that the government will be studying in detail on how best we can implement that, whether we are institutionally capable to implement, and whether the private sector is also able to implement that. So I think we have to do it, but the matter is we have to be ready and capable enough to properly implement this multi-layered.
I'd like to come to Dr. Shrestha. Dr. Shrestha, Mr. Pandey has also pointed out to the trade deficit that Nepal is facing. What's your take on the trade deficit, and how do you see the balance between the government's spending and the economic productivity in this budget?
This is if the government want to increase the economic growth, then obviously it will increase the trade deficit because even for our many internal construction as well as even for export, we have to import. And that's why import will increase if this expansionary budget is executed. And obviously, there are the increase in capital expenditure. All of these things demand the increase in import. And on the other hand, now because of geopolitical tensions, already the price of petroleum price are high, and other raw material price are high based on the petroleum products. That's why already the industries are suffering. Their cost of production is already high, and that's why our import already for last 2 months, our import has crossed the 200 billion per month. That's why there is a chance of higher trade deficit because our export is already weak, and I don't think that within the year our export will increase much because our export capacity and export base is very weak, and that's why there is a chance of further increasing trade deficit from this budget.
Dr. Shrestha, the sunset laws are also being introduced to automatically review the outdated laws and policies. How transformative this move can be for Nepal?
Which one?
The sunset laws, they are being introduced to automatically review the outdated laws and policies of Nepal. How transformative do you think this move can be regarding the Nepal's governance system?
Obviously, this automatic review will encourage the investment and is the doing business, and that can promote the both foreign investment and the domestic investment.
Dr. Shrestha, the artificial intelligence, it has also featured in this year's budget. The government has announced the Matri Bhumi course that is aimed at establishing an AI industry. How realistic is this in Nepal's push toward the artificial intelligence and the innovation-driven growth?
This budget actually has focused on the IT sector much, and has proposed to establish the AI hub, AI centers, and obviously establishing these types of IT services. It will increase the demand for the electricity also, and obviously it will promote the IT services. And now in recent years, Nepal has been doing quite well in exporting the IT service, and because of this focus, IT sectors will expand much, and obviously it will help to increase the economic growth as well as employment in the IT sectors. Obviously, the use of AI, many people say that it can reduce the employment. That is also kind of possibility, but it will open the employment in a new area, and we can use this new technology to the other sectors also, like the agriculture, even light manufacturing, even the tourism. So with that, we should expand the use of this new IT development. We should expand our other sector, like other productive sectors, so that our economy can grow at a higher rate as proposed by the government in the budget, like 6 to 7%.
I'd like to come to Mr. Pandey. Mr. Pandey, AI has featured in this year's budget. How does the private sector see this as?
Which one? Sorry, I missed it.
The artificial intelligence, it has It has been featured in this year's budget, and Dr. Shrestha has pointed that it has become such an important aspect of our day-to-day life. How does the private sector see, given the fact that, given the situation that the government has prioritized the artificial intelligence in this year's budget, in upcoming fiscal year's budget?
Yeah, I mean, this artificial intelligence has been a buzzword in international arena as well as in Nepal. And it's been touching everyone's life as we speak. So it is really important that we promote this, probably establish IT stack based on our Nepali culture, Nepali language, and also need to have necessary infrastructure that will enable this activity within the country, protecting our data sovereignty and all that. So the government has announced establishing a data center here in Nepal and also supporting other such infrastructure promoted by the private sector. And when we engage IT-enabled softwares and services for various government service delivery, as well as banking, finance, and other private sector businesses, we definitely need such kind of infrastructure within the country so that these processes can be these can be processed within the country. So it is very important that we invest in such kind of data center and high performance compute area, and by doing that, we can also have international clients established and taking their spaces in our Nepalese data centers. We use clean energy, as well as we have other necessary conditions available within the country. So there's a tremendous opportunity of using our electricity as a raw material in providing such services to the domestic as well as international clients. So the focus on AI as a service, as well as improving AI infrastructure, is I think the need of the hour, and the government has given the timely attention in this matter.
Mr. Pandey, as we talk about the artificial intelligence and the potential or the possible job opportunities this might create in the market, we all are aware of the fact that we are also tackling the unemployment and the youth migration. So how do you see how this will help, this year's budget will help to create the job opportunities in the Nepali market, given the fact that you represent the Nepal's private sector?
Especially in the IT sector, IT-enabled services, and this area, there are opportunities if we can, enhance our skill base towards the global trend, and so there's definitely an opportunity here in this sector because of our the demographic dividend and IT savvy young population here in the country. For that, we need to also invest in the education and increase the quotas or the replacement available for such education, and especially in the IT enabled and this domain. Rather than the education degree, skills are more important. So we have to focus on the micro learning, micro credentials, and enhance the skills relevant for this area. So there's definitely the area that we can work on, and in this sector, people can work from anywhere. So our young boys and girls, they can stay in Nepal and work for international companies, as well as also work in our domestic community. So I believe there's an opportunity there.
Mr. Pandey, there are the tax policy changes also announced in the upcoming year's budget. So how do you see, how will it impact the inflation and the consumer prices? That inflation, it has been impacting our day-to-day lives. So how do you see all of this?
There has been increase in the personal income tax slab, and also the reduction in the maximum tax bracket. So these two initiatives will uh, have more disposable income uh, for the people to spend, and this will uh, support the aggregate demand of the economy. So it will have a positive impact, I think. Uh, but there's definitely inflationary pressure because of various reasons, as the salaries of the government employees increasing, as well as there's a West Asian war effect on the food prices and other commodities as well. So it is a very tricky thing to balance, but with the investment coming in infrastructure and other areas, as mentioned in the budget, I hope that there will be more economic activity going forward, and that will support uh, uh, income to the households, and they'll increase the disposable income, which ultimately entails increasing the aggregate demand. So it probably support in positive way.
Now I'd like to come to Dr. Shrestha. Dr. Shrestha, fiscal discipline and rising public debt has been another issue in Nepal's economic sector. How concerned are you about the fiscal discipline and the rising public debt?
Given the large budget size and the low revenue capacity, this time also government has increased the budget deficit, and to fulfill that deficit has proposed a quite ambitious external debt target and higher internal debt. And because of that, our government debt will increase further, and actually internal debt in net borrowing has been increased by 45%. And if the proposed external debt realize, then our debt will be much higher, could be the 45-46% of GDP. And if that debt will be used in the increasing the productive capacity, and if that debt contribute to the higher economic growth as proposed, at like 7% or 8%, if that happen, then it will be not a big issue. Otherwise, there will be the borrowing, but the economic growth, if remains sluggish, and then our debt liability will increase further, and that will put further pressure in upcoming budgets to manage, because already the more than 400 billion rupees actually needed for the debt servicing, for repayments and interest and principal repayments. That's why the main concern is how we utilize the debt we mobilize, how productively we utilize, and but the statement is not clear how this loan is going to be utilized. Like there is in which project actually the internal debt will be utilized. There should be some earmarking so that the debt will be properly utilized in the productive way and high return project. We have to see how this debt will be in practice will be used, and how much the impact will be in the economy in terms of revenue collection and the economic growth. Otherwise, there is a high risk of debt is increasing debt burden, and if trend continues, then we will have the quite serious concern on the debt management.
Dr. Shrestha, as we talk about the fiscal discipline, is the capital expenditure a target achievable given Nepal's past spending performance? How do you assess this?
Yeah, for last few years, our capital expenditure has remained very weak. It's just the actual realizations budget, actual to budget ratio is about 58% average. So the out of 100 capital capex, government actually spent only 58 rupees. So this time also budget has been increased. Capex budget has been increased from 400 billion to 431 billion, and the question still remains how much will be realized given our implementation capacity from the government side as well as our private sector side. And if it doesn't, if the capex doesn't increase, but the debt will increase, then that will put some pressure on our public finance management. But given the past experience, there is not much hope. But now that we have the new government with close to two-third majority, and through the institutional reform, increment of capacity, and through that, government can execute the given proposed capital budget, and then we can say that that this budget is good. That's why still there is a doubt how much the capex will be spent given this constraint.
Dr. Shrestha, where do you see the biggest gap between the investment planning and the actual expenditure in context of Nepal?
Uh, could you say again?
Where do you see the biggest gap? It has been said that there has been gaps between the investment planning and the actual expenditure of Nepal. So where do you see these gaps? How do you assess that Nepal has failed to sustain the momentum in the past, and where do you see the biggest gap between the investment planning and actual expenditure?
Yeah, that's the past experience doesn't past experience is not good. So the new government is which actually the government has been trying to make a reform everywhere, and they have to reform in the bureaucracy also. Government has increased the salary. Obviously, we can hope that that will increase the some motivations to do. There is on proposal of performance-based salary also. There is a 10% hike, and but another 10% based on the performance. If that will be implemented effectively, and that will increase the implementation capacity, and still governments should hire the technical manpower, and so that they can perform, they can implement the policy programs of the government. Budget has a lot of new policies program also, and there are many already started projects and to be completed. All of these things needs actually the capacity of the government, and let us see how it goes. Is a new government, powerful government, and that's why the government can now has said that in the budget they will bring this sunset law, and they will say that they will not going to transfer the project staff during the project period, and all of these things are implemented, then we can hope that the gap between the actual and the planned budget will be lower.
I'd like to come to Mr. Pandey. How do you assess that? In what ways can private sector's involvement support Nepal government's long-term economic development goals?
The private sector contribution of private sector in the economy is quite high. It's more than 80% in terms of employment generation as well as the contribution to revenue. And there has to be a very good working relationship between the government and the private sector. There shouldn't be any trust deficit and the absence of the confidence, as sometimes we used to see in the past. We both the private sector and the government has to work hand in hand to achieve all these targets that we all our people and the country we aspire. So definitely we have to work together, and for that we are hoping that the government will provide the conducive working environment with clearer legal system, simpler and clearer and predictable policies, and stable policies, so that the private sector are clear on their objectives and their obligations that they need to fulfill in terms of taxes and other regulatory compliances. So this is very important. And I believe the government is trying to set up that kind of environment for the private sector to perform, innovate, and take risks and invest more in.
Mr. Pandey, we are at the almost end of this program. Before we leave, I would like to ask, what reforms do you think are still missing from this budget?
This budget, we can see that they have been reducing the regulatory burdens. They have reduced the customs tariff from 11 to I think 8 to 7 different types. And also other number of multiple taxes have been removed in different levels of the government. So we're gradually, I mean, the government is trying to make it easier for private sector to perform. And if the if we have the digital transformation on public service provisions, that'll definitely support the business activities of the private sector.
I'd like to come to Dr. Shrestha. Dr. Shrestha, what do you think, what reforms are missing from this year's budget, and do you believe the budget is realistic when it comes to the implementation and the revenue targets?
Excuse me?
Dr. Shrestha, what reforms do you think that are still missing from this budget, and how confident you are that the budget is realistic in terms of the implementation and the revenue targets?
Actually, there are many things, many new things also, some ambitious things also. Question is still whether the government has that much capacity to implement all of these things. That's why it's not a matter of missing actually. How much we can be targetable, how much we can be specific. It's quite easy to say in the budget, easy to write and easy to just read in the parliament, but it's not easy to implement given the resource and given the implementation capacity. That's why I expect this budget should be implemented effectively. Whatever they included in the budget, there are many very good provisions also, and if that can happen, and actually I would like to say that in the next year when the finance minister is presenting the budget, we will be happy to see how much progress have been made in the budget presented today. So at least there should some evaluation or review document should come up with the new budget, at least in annexes, or at least should be made public, so that the government will be more accountable and responsible. So I actually request the government next year in next year budget statement, government should come up with the review of progress metrics of this current budget.
Thank you, Dr. Shrestha, and thank you, Mr. Pandey, for sharing your insights in Nepal's budget 2026-2027 and giving an in-depth insight, in-depth view on the budget and its implications. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for providing this opportunity. Thank you for NTV World and you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Well, that was our discussion on Nepal's budget 2026-2027 with the former Vice Chair of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Prakash Kumar Shrestha, and the President of the Confederation of the Nepalese Industries, Birendra Pandey. We'd like to thank them so much. And with this, we come to the end of this program. Thank you so much for staying with us. Have a great time ahead, and namaste.